But so that's where we are, folks. Texas is under threat, and the spiritual foundations of this country are under threat. But this is why I have hope, folks. Because if you look at this country, we go back to the Old Testament. Look, I know what a lot of you people do. You know, you are out there every single day, putting up yard signs, writing out checks, holding meetings, knocking on doors, phone banking, electing candidates who disappoint you 8 times out of 10. You know, 9 times out of 10, you know, whatever. 8 times out of 5, whatever. And I know what you do. But I'm asking you to double down, folks, because we are at the time. We are at the time that is going to decide the fate of this country. And I go all over the country, folks. I'm seeing people rise up like you've never seen before. Young people getting up. This is like the Tea Party movement all over again, but much younger demographic. You've had all these people sitting at home at school, sitting at home for a year reading their kids' school textbooks, being horrified, watching their cities burn with no consequences, watching an election stolen right in front of their eyes, and they are finally waking up to the fact that we could lose this country. And if we lose freedom here, folks, it goes out everywhere. It's lost in every corner of the globe. So what I'm saying is this, folks. I know you're fired up. I know there's millions of others are fired up. The big lack is leadership. The big lack, because we do not have many brave people in our Congress or our Senate to lead this. So the leaders are going to have to come from amongst us. It's going to be the few pastors, the civil leaders, the people who are willing to put everything on the line, because only truth can save us now, folks. Yes. Only truth. And I know, we have got an army out there of 80 million Trump voters, another 30 million more who wish they had been, and God. That's pretty powerful. But we all know that the leadership is going to be a small number of people. The committed few that are going to make the stands that fire the people up. If you stand and lead, the people will follow. We need the leaders. Yes. But don't worry that there's not that many of us. If you look at the Old Testament, how many times did God raise up a huge army to fight another huge army? It was always the minority, Gideon's army, David versus Goliath. Look at your founding fathers, folks. A bunch of farmers and, blacksmiths and fishermen armed with squirrel rifles went up against the world's greatest military empire. How insane were they? Look at Texas. Your people who fought in the Alamo, 150 versus thousands. And look what they inspired. They lost that battle, but you won the war. So this is the point. It's always going to be a few, right? And why do the greatest victories come from the darkest times? Because the darkest times are when we decide what side of the fence we are on. Okay? That's when we choose. No more compromising. There's no more time for being nice. This is fight or die now. This is it. This is where we're at. We're in the same position your founding fathers were at. We're in the same position your patriots at the Alamo were at. We've got to either fight or die. Simple as that. And I don't mean guns, I mean just getting down and taking back control of your government. Yes. The government given to you by God. So this is how I see it. You look at why did your founding fathers fight so bravely? Because they were founded they had 13 colonies, all founded by people who fled Europe for religious liberty. And they set up 13 colonies. Maryland was Catholic, Pennsylvania was Quaker, etc. And when King George started coming for their freedoms, breaking his contracts with the colonies. They knew their religious liberty was on the line. They didn't fight over tea tax, folks. They fought to preserve what they'd come to America to enjoy, their religious freedom. That was it. And they fought year after year, losing almost every battle, freezing and starving in the snow, dodging British bullets, away from their families for months at a time. Maybe they would get to go back to the farm every few months, and maybe all they'd find would be a burnt out barn and some graves. But they fought and fought and fought. I was at Morristown, New Jersey, where your troops spent the winter of 1780. And that was a little ice age, folks. You've had a bit of a cold snap in Texas recently, didn't you? So it was like that, okay? It was like that. 10,000 troops started that winter. Death, desertion and disease took 4,000 of them. The officers were eating their dogs to survive. The troops were boiling up their boots to eat the leather. They were on the verge of destruction and surrender. And George Washington left there, went down to Valley Forge, and he got down on his knees and he prayed. Then he got up and led those starving troops to take out the British in a surprise attack at Yorktown. Turned the whole course of the war, folks. Turned the whole course of world history. Imagine how bleak this world would have been for the last 200 years without America in it. Can you imagine? So what I'm saying, folks, is the greatest victories come from the darkest times. And that they're always won by people of deep, broad, strong courage, underlain, supported by a deep faith. You know, faith and courage are just, you cannot separate them. The deeper your faith, the greater your courage. Because if you have your eyes on eternity, what do you fear in this world? What can possibly discourage you when you have your eyes on eternity? The greatest victory you can possibly face. So you get, you know, when you fight for what you believe in, even if you die, you still win. Even if you die, you still win. So I don't want to lay a big responsibility trip on you folks. But the fate of the Western world depends on Texas. Okay? Because it does. You are going to lead this country back. You and Florida are going to take the lead to bring this country back. That's why I'm here, people. If I thought there was no hope for this wonderful country, I'd be back in my beautiful New Zealand right now, building bunkers and stocking up on baked beans. But I'm not, because I think there's huge hope here. I am seeing the armies arising all over this nation. It's everywhere, every state I go to, people are fired up, and the leaders are going to come through. And they aren't going to be the leaders that we see now, for the most part. They're going to be new people, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know? The best thing they could have done was strip all her committee assignments away. So now she can go around the country raising hell as she was born to do. So this is what I'm saying, folks. America's under attack. Texas is under attack. But we know that truth can set us free. If we have the truth on our side and we commit to that with all the courage we can muster, we have a fighting chance. Now, I don't know how it's all going to go. I don't know what the plan is. But I know that we have free will. See, God can't just come in and change our future for us, because that's not free will. He could, but he won't. But when people are committed, and people are fighting, and people are being faithful and courageous, he can help. You know, you don't tell me there was no divine help in the American Revolution. You know, many times miracles happen. Bullets whizzed through Washington's tunic all the time, but never hit him. The fog came down in New York Harbor just at the right time for George Washington's troops to escape the British. That happened time and time again. But they fought that war for a long time, losing, until they'd proven their commitment. And that's when the help started to come. So I do believe in divine providence, folks. But it only comes when we are worthy of it, when we have chosen to fight, when we have chosen to stand up and chosen to be courageous. That's when we get help. So I think there's a lot of miracles on the way, folks, but we have to do our part. We cannot just sit back and think this is all going to happen. So this is what I say. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I know this. If we fight and sweat blood for our faith, our families, our constitution, our country, two things may happen. Maybe we fight like crazy and maybe we lose. Maybe. But at least all of us will earn the right to look our children in the eye and say, I did everything I possibly could for you. And if we win, and that 2016 election convinced me that God is not finished with this country yet, folks. We win this, we can spark an economic boom like we've never seen, which will be great. I think we'll set the stage for a spiritual revival like we've never seen. We will inspire freedom movements all over the world to take down the tyrants. And just on a simple level, all of us will earn the right to pass on to our children and grandchildren not just the amazing country that you were born into and I came to, but one even greater. Is the chance of that worth a little sacrifice, folks? So I want to say to all of you, thank you so much for what you do for America, for my country, and for freedom. God bless America, and God bless the great state of Texas, and God bless every one of you.